Hello again, my name is Zilona, and yeah, I decided to make another video while I am not so busy. Well, actually I am busy all the time, but I have this I prepared now to make the videos. I have this time a little bit, I don't know, I hope. When you do your DNA test and if you or find out your ethnicity, uh, very often I heard these opinions that ethnicity estimates are wrong. And why are these ethnicity estimates are so different between different DNA testing companies? What's going on? Why? So, which one? If you do your DNA test, for example, on Ancestry, and after that you upload your DNA to MyHeritage, Family Tree DNA, and also if you did it already like many years ago, you can see that they sometimes change these percentages. Why they do that? How? Does it mean that some of these companies are wrong, or if they change so often their ethnicity estimates, can you be sure that this time they are right? Well, the thing is that ethnicity estimates actually, yeah, are just estimates. Actually, I don't think, well, yeah, at the moment, all this DNA testing stuff is quite new. I don't know how many years ago they actually started this, but of course, because of that, they are not 100% precise. And another thing is that actually I don't think it is even possible, even if after, I don't know, 50 years they will be so advanced and in DNA testing stuff, that they will still be able to tell you precisely your ethnicity, because you cannot actually tell exact borders for ethnicities. Yes, country borders do change, and I don't think that actually the change of the borders of the countries do really affect the ethnicity of people who live in these areas. But there are also another thing. There's the borders of ethnicities, like the borders in which each ethnic group live, because there are a lot of ethnic groups which live in some countries, but they do not have their own country, but they still have their ethnicity. Also, it is quite often some people, or like, okay, for example, Latvians, where I am from. Latvians do not live just in Latvia. Also, some Latvians, like me, can live in another countries, and also in Latvia there are another people who live there. And if we look also in history, very often, no, very often, all the time, what happened? This mixing between different ethnicities. It happened, yeah. That's why we all have actually a lot of different ethnically different people in our between our ancestors, like 100 years ago or 1000 years ago. People all the time mixed between each other. And also, what is ethnicity? For example, a lot of ethnicities which we have today, well, didn't existed 500 years ago, probably. Well, it's just example, or 1000 years ago, and especially 10,000 years ago. And also ethnicities which existed 10,000 years ago, 500 years ago, do not exist today. That's why it's so difficult or impossible to actually tell all your possible ethnicities or ethnicities of your ancestors. But okay, it's maybe not so important. The main thing is that these DNA companies do not compare your DNA to people who are dead. Well, no, maybe some of these people unfortunately died after they were tested, of course. But these are modern people, and your DNA is actually compared to modern people who live in these countries. And your ethnicity results does not really show your ethnicity, actually. Yeah, they do show to which of the ethnicities your DNA is most similar. Like, so they compare your DNA with other people's DNA, and they see to which of these DNA your DNA is closest, and that's how they tell that most likely you are from these places, or your ancestors are from these places. Another thing, they do not compare your DNA to all the people in the world. Each company have their own reference populations. So what does it mean? For example, Ancestry did tested some people from different regions, and they use their DNA as their reference. So they compare your DNA to these references. And for example, 23andMe checked another people, and MyHeritage again different people. And this is where this difference one of the reasons why your results are different between different DNA testing companies. Also, usually, as far as I know, when they choose people for their reference populations, for their references, they choose people who know all four of their grandparents. So just grandparents, not great grandparents or great grandparents, because actually not a lot of people will know all of their great grandparents. For example, I don't know even all of my grandparents. Yeah, true story. And also all these 4 grandparents have to be from the same country. For example, for my mother, all her grandparents were born in one country, in Latvia, and actually quite close to each other. Her parents actually were even related. The thing is that one of her grandparents, yes, he was born in Latvia, but he was born to Polish parents. So that's why the results will be different from between. Another thing why your ethnicity estimates will be different at different DNA testing sites is the way they analyze your DNA. Each company will have their own, well, how they call this, chips or something like that. I have no idea what this is, never saw it. So, but this is some kind of probably program or something like that through which they run your data. So, and of course, each of these companies will have different chips, and that's why the results also will be quite, well, maybe not a lot, but there still will be. And another thing which is also very, very important is each of these companies, well, actually, yeah, do not check all, absolutely 100% everything in your DNA. They do not sequence the whole genome or something like that. They actually choose just tiny portions of your DNA, and it is possible that each of these companies choose actually little bit different portions of your DNA. That's why your results will be different between companies. Next thing what I want to talk about is why the why the results change from time to time. So, for example, if you did your DNA test 3 years ago on Ancestry, and you compare to today's results, these results most likely are different, and probably you had some different things. So, like between today and you expected that your result is correct 3 years ago, but now it's changed, which means that there is a result which you saw 3 years ago. Well, it seems it's wrong. It was wrong, because now you can see different result. So does it mean that maybe after another 3 years the result will be again different? So most likely the result which I see today is also wrong. Well, as I said, it's impossible to tell you 100% all your ethnicities, but they update, which is good. Probably they add additional people to the reference populations, which is good. As I can see, for example, from 23andMe and Ancestry, that they have the results more detailed. Like 2 years ago, for me, it was just Eastern Europe with some percents, little bit of something, but just tiny bits on Ancestry and 23andMe. But now the result, for at least for me, is more detailed. I have on 23andMe, for example, Latvia. On Ancestry I have Baltic states. So I could say that the result, but it wasn't wrong actually 2 years ago, but it is more narrowed today. So, but of course it depends. Your experience can be different, and also yeah, it can be hard. Maybe it's easy to tell you your ethnicities if your ancestors come from very different countries, different backgrounds. Like, for example, if you are half Japanese and half Irish, then probably it's easier for them to tell these two ethnicities apart. But for me, for example, as like, yeah, my mother, she's Latvian, but she has also this Polish ancestors. From my father's side, he's like Russian, but he's also not 100% Russian, because as I found out, I also have ancestors from Finland from my father's side, and many other maybe places, probably Ukrainian and Belarusian as well. And like Latvia and Russia and Belarus and Ukraine, for example, or Lithuania. Yeah, I have also a lot of matches from Lithuania as well, but I don't know about any ancestors from Lithuania. Most likely I have them, but I don't know anything about them. So it's quite hard, much harder to tell differences between Latvians and Lithuanians. Because our DNA is so similar. But it is still possible, because, for example, on GEDmatch, they actually kinda, yeah, can tell this difference, but still, as you can understand, telling apart Latvian and Lithuanian DNA will be much harder than telling apart Japanese and Irish DNA. Yeah. So, yeah, it actually depends on many things, and also it depends not just on the companies, but also your DNA, how hard it could be. Well, where are you from? What is the history of your country? Probably who were actually your ancestors? I think at the moment, yeah, that's it. And thanks for watching. And goodbye.